Okay, let's talk about this. Cellulite. If you're listening, chances are you know it's, well, incredibly common.
Oh, absolutely. Affects a huge number of women.
Right, and for many, it's something that can, make you feel pretty self-conscious, just one of those things.
It really is. And because it's so widespread, there's always this interest in finding things that might genuinely help,
Yeah,
beyond just temporary fixes.
exactly. Which brings us to today. We're doing a deep dive into some new research, looking at exactly that, whether a specific natural ingredient could offer some, well, measurable improvement.
And the source we're pulling from today is a recent press release. It details a newly published peer-reviewed study on this topic.
So our goal here is really to unpack that study for you.
Yeah, we want to look at how they set it up, what they actually measured, and, the big question, what do they find? Specifically about this ingredient, Pycnogenol.
That's Pycnogenol. It's a French maritime pine bark extract.
Right. So why should you care about this research? Let's find out.
Okay, let's jump in then.
So, first things first, with any study like this, you got to look at the design, right?
Absolutely. How is this one structured?
It was a double-blind, placebo-controlled trial, which is, generally considered a strong design.
Okay, double blind. That means neither the participants nor the researchers knew who was getting the real thing versus the dummy pill.
Exactly. And placebo-controlled just means they had that comparison group taking the inactive pill.
Helps make sure any effects they see are actually from the pycnogenol, not just, wishful thinking or chance.
Precisely. You need that baseline comparison.
So who was in the study?
They had 60 women, aged between 25 and 45, and the study ran for 3 months.
3 months. And how did they take the pycnogenol? Or the placebo?
Good question. They split them into 2 groups, 30 women each. One group got 150 milligrams of pycnogenol every day.
150 total.
Yeah, but split 50 milligrams in the morning and then 100 milligrams in the evening. The other 30 women took a placebo on that same schedule.
Okay. And they checked in on them how often?
They measured cellulite status and response right at the beginning, that's the baseline, and then again at 4 weeks, 8 weeks, and finally at 12 weeks.
So regular check-ins to see how things were progressing over those 3 months.
Right, that step-by-step measurement is really key to seeing if and when changes happen.
Okay, so the big question. What did they actually find? When they compared the pycnogenol group to the placebo group, what were the results?
Well, the headline finding, I suppose, was the change in cellulite severity itself.
How did they measure that? Is that subjective?
No, they used a specific tool called the Hexel Cellulite Severity Scale.
Hexel scale. Can you tell us a bit more about that? Is it reliable?
Yeah, it's actually a clinically validated tool. So it's designed specifically for assessing cellulite in a standardized way.
How does it work?
It basically scores severity by looking at 5 key physical features. Things like the number and depth of skin depressions, how the skin looks when you're standing versus lying down, that sort of thing.
Ah, okay. So it puts a number on it, makes it objective.
Exactly. It lets researchers track changes quantitatively.
Got it. So using this scale, what change did they see in the women taking pycnogenol?
Well, after 2 months, that's the 8-week mark, they reported seeing a 12.2% reduction in cellulite severity in the pycnogenol group.
12.2%. Okay. And did it keep improving?
It did. By the end of the study, at 12 weeks or 3 months, the total reduction for the pycnogenol group was 13.6% on that scale.
13.6%. Now, is that a lot? Does the source say if that's actually noticeable?
That's a crucial point. The source does highlight that this 13.6% reduction is considered a clinically meaningful improvement.
Clinically meaningful. So not just a tiny statistical blip, but something potentially visible or significant in a real-world sense.
That seems to be the implication, yes. Something a clinician would likely consider important. And critically, this significant decrease was seen only in the pycnogenol group.
Not in the placebo group.
Nope. The placebo group didn't show a meaningful change on the Hexel scale during the study.
Okay, that definitely points towards the ingredient having an effect. Did they measure anything else besides that severity score, like physical changes?
They did. They also looked at upper thigh circumference.
And
In the pycnogenol group, after the 3 months, they saw an average reduction of 2.07 centimeters.
wow, over 2 centimeters off the thigh circumference. How did that stack up against the placebo?
It was significantly more. The placebo group only saw a reduction of 0.9 centimeters.
So more than double the reduction in the pycnogenol group. That's interesting, a measurable size change.
Yeah, it adds another dimension beyond just how the surface looks according to the scale.
What about skin texture? Did they look at things like roughness or smoothness,
Yes, they did measure that too, and they found improvements there as well.
such as?
Skin roughness on the outer thigh decreased by quite a bit, 32% in the pycnogenol group after 3 months.
32% reduction in roughness. That sounds like it would feel noticeably different.
It's a pretty striking number, yeah. Especially when you compare it to the placebo group. They only showed about a 6% reduction in roughness overall.
Big difference. And smoothness, did that improve too?
It did, as you'd expect if roughness went down. The pycnogenol participants had an 11.19% improvement in skin smoothness after the 3 months.
And the placebo group?
They saw some improvement, but less, about 6.82% overall.
Okay, so let me recap quickly. Across several different measures that clinical severity score, the actual thigh measurement, skin roughness, skin smoothness, the pycnogenol group showed improvements and often significantly better than the placebo group.
That's right. It wasn't just one finding in isolation. It looked like a consistent pattern across different ways of assessing the skin.
Which naturally leads to the question, how? How might this stuff actually be working? Did the source mention any proposed mechanisms?
It did touch on that. The idea cited is that pycnogenol is thought to help stimulate the body's own production of collagen and hyaluronic acid.
Ah, the big skincare buzzwords, collagen and HA.
Right. And the thinking is that by boosting these within the skin's extracellular matrix.
Okay, wait. How does boosting collagen and hyaluronic acid help with cellulite? Because cellulite involves those, like, fibrous bands and fat, right?
That's a great question. It's not just about the fat itself. Cellulite's appearance is really linked to the structure around the fat. You have these connective tissue bands under the skin.
Right, the ones that pull down and create the dimples.
Exactly. And collagen and hyaluronic acid are absolutely key for the skin's structure, its firmness, its hydration.
Huh?
So if pycnogenol stimulates more collagen and HA.
The idea is you're maybe strengthening that skin layer, making it more resilient, more hydrated.
Precisely. Better structural support, maybe better elasticity. This could potentially make the skin surface appear smoother over those underlying structures, maybe make those pull-down dimples less noticeable.
Ah, okay. So strengthening the skin's foundation to kind of smooth out the surface appearance over the underlying issue. That makes sense.
Yeah, and the source explicitly links stimulating collagen and HA to improve skin elasticity and hydration, which lines up nicely with seeing improvements in smoothness and maybe even contributing to that circumference reduction through better overall tissue quality.
The press release also had some comments from experts, right? What did they say? I think Dr. Fred Pescatore was mentioned.
Yes.
Yeah.
His take basically was that, look, cellulite is common, it happens, but it doesn't need to wreck your confidence. He pointed out that women are looking for natural and effective options.
And he saw pycnogenol fitting that bill.
He seemed to. He mentioned it being clinically backed with various skin benefits and saw this study as showing it can visibly improve cellulite. He suggested it could simplify routines and, help women feel better in their own skin.
Okay. Then there was another perspective from Danielle Lin, more from a wellness angle.
Right. Her view, as quoted, kind of connects inner health with outer appearance wellness being the foundation for beauty.
How did pycnogenol fit into that?
She saw it as sort of bridging that gap. She framed this research as offering a smart, science-backed way to refine skin tone and texture naturally, kind of blending nature and innovation for confidence.
Interesting perspectives. It highlights that people aren't just looking for a cosmetic cover-up, but maybe something that works more deeply, aligns with overall health, and has some science behind it.
Exactly. And the source also mentioned that pycnogenol isn't new to skin research either.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it apparently has over 25 published clinical studies looking at its general skin and beauty benefits, even beyond the specific cellulite focus.
So there's a broader body of research on its effects on skin.
Seems so.
Yeah.
Which probably adds context to why they'd investigate it for something complex like cellulite.
Okay, so wrapping up this deep dive then, we looked at this one specific study.
Double-blind, placebo-controlled, 60 women, 3 months.
Testing pycnogenol, the French maritime pine bark extract, and the findings reported measurable impacts of reduction in cellulite severity using that Hexel scale.
Yep, clinically meaningful reduction.
A decrease in thigh circumference, less skin roughness, and more skin smoothness, all compared to the placebo group.
And we touched on the proposed how, potentially by stimulating collagen and hyaluronic acid synthesis, improving skin structure and hydration. Plus, expert takes framing it as a natural, science-backed option.
Right. So considering all that, especially the fact that they were measuring actual physiological changes like circumference and using an objective clinical scale, It does make you think, doesn't it?
How so?
Well, how does research like this, even using natural ingredients, potentially shift how we view concerns like cellulite? Does focusing on measurable physiological changes move the needle away from just subjective appearance towards maybe skin health?
That's a really interesting thought. Does finding a scientific basis, a measurable effect, change how we think about what used to be just seen as a cosmetic issue? Definitely something for you to ponder.